If you have a blog, if you're making videos, you're making content, how do you create ideas? How do you come up with ideas for your blog?
How'd you do that?
Honestly, that success is not something you pursue. It is something you are.
So a lot of people have trouble coming up with ideas for their blog or just stuff to talk about in videos. So how do you do it? How do you come up with like an endless idea list? First off, most people have trouble coming up with ideas because of the way they do it. So the way most people do it is they sit down at a computer or wherever, and they say, what ideas can I come up with? And they think in terms of, okay, here's something that I want to talk about, how leaders lead, the 101 leadership tactics. So they sit down at a computer and they try to come up with ideas. And when they kind of come across this writer's block and they lack ideas, they wonder why, like, man, is something wrong with me? Am I dumb? Or like, why am I not coming up with ideas? And the reason they're not coming up with ideas is because that's not how our mind works. Your mind reacts to the world around you. And this is why everyone talks about brainstorming and all that, because when you brainstorm, people come up with ideas and they say things that you never even thought of. And that's why the whole brainstorming thing is popular. But your mind reacts. So knowing this, you want to use this to your advantage to create more ideas for your speaker content. Here's what I do. So I'll sit down and I'll listen to either a YouTube video or an audiobook, and I'll sit down with the intent of creating ideas while listening to this thing. So a perfect example is, let's say I'm a leadership speaker. I would sit down and I would listen to a biography on Elon Musk. And while they're talking about Elon Musk and they say things like, Elon Musk, he doesn't come down to your level. He expects you to keep up with him. I'll write this down. I'll say why leaders expect you to keep up rather than them coming down to your level. So I'll write things like that. And as you read or as you listen, things will just pop into your head. If I'm a sales speaker, I'll watch something like The Wolf of Wall Street and I'll say, okay, what ideas can I come up with while I'm watching this thing? So when he gets to the moment where he's like, sell me this pen. Now I'll come up with a blog post where I say, here's how you sell people this pen. And your mind is reacting to the world around you, and you want to use that to create ideas for your blog. And you make sure that you're watching videos or audiobooks, listen to audiobooks that make sense. So if you're a leadership speaker, you're going to listen to a lot of autobiographies. If you're a sales speaker, you're going to listen to a lot of just, or watch movies like Wolf of Wall Street and that sort of stuff. So read things that make sense. You're not going to read a book about basket weaving if you're a leadership speaker and try to get ideas from that. You'll get more ideas from reading a biography on Elon Musk, Sam Walton. So make sure you use that to your advantage. And it works only if you're actively looking for things to talk about. So if you sit down, you say, I'm actively looking for things to talk about, you're going to come up with so many ideas, it's going to be ridiculous. I guarantee you're going to come up with a lot of things to talk about. If you just sit down and you just kind of listen to it, and you're just like, oh, I'm just going to listen to it, just enjoy it, you won't come up with as many ideas. So make sure you do it with intention, with purpose behind it. And of course, other ways you can come up with ideas are things like reading Korra. You can simply go to Korra if you're a sales speaker, go to the sales topic and literally what are people asking questions on, and you just say, okay, that's what I'm going to talk about in the next video. So that's a way to come up with endless ideas. Another way is using Facebook or just groups in general. So use Facebook groups or LinkedIn groups. Look at what people are talking about. So if you're a sales speaker, you go to a sales page and look at what people are talking about. Do people say, how do I make the right cold call? So look at what people are talking about. You'll get ideas from that. You can download an app like Pulse, a news app, where you'll have all these news stories that are popping up. And then from those news stories, you'll also get ideas. So maybe it'll say Walmart's, or no, something like McDonald's sales are sliding. McDonald's shut down 700 stores. So if I'm a sales speaker, I would now say, if I were selling McDonald's, here's how I would sell more burgers or something like that. And you come up with a video about that. Just use news apps. And you can also go to Amazon. Go to Amazon, type in the name. If you're a sales speaker, you type in sales into Amazon, look for the books, look at the chapters on what are the chapters that they have. They have a chapter on cold calling, a chapter on closing, and then you say, okay, I'm going to write something on cold calling. I'm going to write something on closing. And on top of that, you look at the reviews of other people. So what are people saying about this book? Other people will say things like, man, I thought he would go into more detail about how to open during a cold call script. So now you say, okay, the video I'm going to make is all about opening in a cold call, because if you can't open when you're calling someone as a telemarketer, if you don't say the first 5 words right, people are going to hang up on you. So you'll do things like that. So read what the reviews are. And I want to point this out. You're not saying the same thing that other people said. You're simply taking ideas from other people, from what other people are saying, and putting your own twist on it. So you don't necessarily, if you're looking at the Wolf of Wall Street, you're a sales speaker, you're looking at the Wolf of Wall Street, you don't say, I'm going to sell this pen the exact same way he did. You say, okay, the way I would sell this pen is not necessarily by being a hard closer, but by asking you questions. Or you'd be like, oh, I'm not going to sell it to you. I'm going to market it so by the time you see the pen, you just want to buy it. So you don't say the same things that someone else said. You put your own twist on it. When it comes down to creating ideas for your speaking business to create content on and write blog posts and create videos, when it comes down to ideas are everywhere. You just have to constantly look out for them, constantly just be in the mode of I can take this and I can talk about it.